apprenticeships. We're allowed to start off with their apprenticeship or their internship with us, which can go 26 weeks basically when they first start. Because in NYSERDA they offset some of the funds for that when we first bring them on while they're still in school. We have high school students who come in during the normal BOCES class hours for 2.5 hours, 3 days a week. They do that for the rest of their school year. When they graduate from school, because they started through the NYSERDA path, we're allowed to put them onto a NYSERDA on-the-job training program to be a heat pump installer or one of the other categories there. They do that for 6 months, and then by that point, we've trained them some. They've decided if they like the industry. We've decided if we like them. If there's a mutual connection there and we all like each other, at that point we can bring them on as a full-fledged employee. But the ability to train somebody fresh out of school.
Yeah, don't forget the apprentice piece.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The apprentice piece. So we've hired them on as full-fledged employees now. We get them enrolled into a New York State apprentice program that they work on for up to 5 years, but at the end of those 5 years, then they have their journeyman's card, which is the equivalent to a bachelor's degree, except in the trades. And we're taking kids from 17 to 22, 23, and they're getting a full-blown career out of that. And we are getting, hopefully, our hope is to get a loyal employee. Last year was the first year that we really started with the internships with the BOCES kids, and we hired 6 kids from the local BOCES from around us. And it's almost a year later, and all 6 of them are still with us. They're all taking classes, they're all happy. Some of them are excelling, some of them needed a little bit more time and nurturing. But
all 6 are enrolled in a 5-year apprenticeship. So we have we have 4 different New York State certified apprenticeship programs in-house. We have an electrician, a plumber, HVAC, and then an energy efficiency technician. So those 4 different New York State Department of Labor apprenticeship programs.
And I personally am super proud to see how these kids, I call them kids, they're grown men now, progress over the next 5 years, the next 4 years, to see what sort of employees they turn into, as not only as they learn their trade and earn a living, but become young men living their lives. Like most of these guys still live with their parents. I can't wait to see what sort of employees they turn into 4 years from now.
Yes. Young men and women.
Young men and women, no.
Yeah, we have some rock star women, heat pump installers, electricians, unbelievable.
Yep.
If somebody asks me what's the best thing about NYSERDA and their programs, I'm going to very quickly, without hesitation, say it's their internship and their OJT program. And if they say, could you have just one thing from NYSERDA and everything else got taken away, don't take it. I'm talking to you, Courtney. Don't take away the OJT, the internship, because because you cannot go on the street and hire people. I mean, you just can't. So you have to build them if you're going to have any volume of them, right? You have to build them in within house, and we found a way to do that, but we couldn't do that without the internship and OJT to you can't take a young kid and start them when they know nothing at $23 an hour, which is a living wage that they need to start out with, without a little bit of help. And that's given us that little bit of help to be able to take these kids and move them through. And so we're real proud of that we've had success with that. So
Thanks, Courtney.
Maybe tomorrow should tell us it's going away, but no. Yeah.
I have a question now.
Yeah.
Jeff over here.
Yeah.
Thinking about expanding services, it seems that in general, as a generalism, HVAC contractors have a more difficult time or are less likely to include weatherization in their efforts, whereas weatherization contractors seem to be able to more easily incorporate HVAC into their services. And it may be because HVAC is already, they're full, they're busy. I just wondered if you have any thoughts in terms of companies expanding their offerings and diversifying their offerings from weatherization to HVAC or HVAC to weatherization?
Yeah, I would, my thought, Jeff, would have been just the opposite. I think from experience, I was very glad to be an HVAC contractor and needed to expand into the insulation and air sealing business. I would have probably not preferred to do it the other way. I mean, growing up as a real young person and having that background of the plumbing and the HVAC, learning the insulation and air sealing was a pretty reasonable piece for us to take on. If I had to start over with an insulation air sealing, and you know, these air source heat pumps have made it easier, better for an insulation contractor to jump into that business. You know, that insulation contractor learning to install oil-fired boilers and steam-fired boilers and those things, that would have been that's a real tall ask, right? Air source heat pumps could be easier, but then, you know, then they got to be serviced, right? It's great when they're all put in, but at some point they got to be worked on and serviced, and then it's not so easy again. Now you got to have a real technician. So, I mean, I think either path is possible, and I think either path is worthwhile. I think the learning curve is less for a person learning the shell work, the insulation, air sealing, than the HVAC tech. But I don't know, Jay, do you have an opinion on that? You've seen both ways.
Yeah, I mean, technically HVAC's way more complicated, and so you're right. It's easier to teach. It's easier to teach maybe the business owner how to do insulation work than the other way around. I've never had an employee, started doing HVAC and then moved over to insulation. That's, they sort of view that going down. Whereas I had a lot of guys who started insulation, were good workers, and then we made them HVAC after that.
Right. Yeah, we've had great success with HVAC techs, who, and some of them started as insulation techs, and the insulation technicians, their jobs are hard. I mean, they're in crawl spaces and attics, and day in and day out, they have hard jobs, and that's why they deserve every penny they make. They have a hard job. But we've had great success. We've got a lot of senior HVAC techs that, started out as insulation techs, and then they were HVAC installers, and even the installation side of that became a little too physical. Now they're up towards retirement age, and being that service technician, is a lot less physically demanding. When they're approaching retirement age. So we've got a lot of people that have, taken that career path. So it's worked out.
You mentioned the apprenticeship program, the certified apprenticeship programs.
Uh-huh.
I typically think of the apprenticeship in terms of union companies. You're a non-union shop. What is the advantage, or what's the reasoning for having an apprenticeship program, or what advantage does that give you, or what's the reasoning for that, being a non-union company?
Yeah, so glad you asked that, Doug, because I think that the true apprenticeship, and this is my own personal opinion, I think it's really became what, just as you're describing, a thing that the unions use to bring on people for prevailing wage jobs, and they can pay apprentices half-price wages, and that's what it's become. That's really not how apprenticeship started. Apprenticeship was a person, learning hands-on skills under the supervision of a master. And we look at it in that way. That's what we're trying to accomplish. We don't do prevailing wage work. We stay clear of it. We don't want to do it. It's just not what we do. I don't want to play in the sandbox with the unions. We have the apprenticeships just because I can give those people a career path, right? At the end of that 5-year apprenticeship, they're truly getting you know, an equivalent of a bachelor's degree, and we can show them that. And so for us, it's not about, you know, cutting prevailing wages. It's about learning truly side by side from a master technician.
Come on, Al, tell them the real truth. It's because they told you couldn't do it.
Well, yeah, that too. When I first applied for an apprenticeship, they say, you know, if you're not a union contractor, you can't have an apprenticeship. And I said, great, I'll have 4 of them then. So we started 4 instead of what? But, you know, that's just who I am.
So now, one of the things about your apprenticeship, that it helps with retaining of your employees.
No question.
Great deal.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, and this, you know, when I go in and talk to these high school students in these both these paths, their eyes light up when I talk about you know, an apprenticeship program, and that they don't need to go to college to get a bachelor's degree, you know, and because they're hands-on learners, and that career path fits them, and they love it.
Was it hard to get? Are they hard to get certified or have an apprenticeship program? It sounds like it must have been.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of hoops to jump through. Once you have it, it's pretty easy. You know, we have a New York State Department of Labor rep that comes in quarterly. They sit down with the apprentices, review them. That's pretty easy, pretty simple. I mean, you have to keep the records, keep the books. The tough part was getting them approved.
Does it have to be open to non-Helco employees or no?
No, I mean,
So it's strictly for your own use,
Right.
your own people?
Yeah,
You don't have to open
yeah.
it up to other
No.
companies to go through your apprentice program?
no, for sure.
Possibly the biggest challenge with that is that, you know, we've got a lot of people in those programs now, and they have to drive right now to MCC to take classes 2-3 nights a week. So if they're working in Ithaca, that means they might have to leave a little early from the job to get there. There's a lot of travel, can burn some employees out, but everybody we've had on board so far has been grateful.
Brittany, we're just about to get online, that's been a long road to get online
Foster.
approval, but New York State's been open to it, that they're gonna approve the online training, because it's brutal to work all day and then travel the 2 hours to school, so.
Each way?
It could be, yeah, like you say, Ithaca to Rochester's 2 hours. And add winter on top of that, could be longer.
So, you know, the healthy homes piece, that's, you know, again, we're doing more and more radon work. We're including radon testing, you know, when we do an energy evaluation.
May I ask how you do that?
What's that?
May I ask how you do that? So you're gonna leave the canister, lab test paid for.
Right.
For the customer to mail in.
Yep,
You've got a good success rate of the customers actually mailing them in?
for sure. Yep.
It's free.
Yeah.
I've given away many canister kits, and I almost started to charge for them. I noticed when people pay for them, they actually mail them in. The ones that I was giving out, just wasting my money. Nobody sent them. That just.
Yeah, no, we've
just
had
us.
good luck with it. We work hard at some of these things, you know, yard signs. We celebrated this year, we put 5,000 yard signs in. That was like a big accomplishment. I mean, so you can't come to one of our meetings, and we have a meeting every morning at 7 o'clock with a different department, and we're talking about yard signs because they're one of our least expensive forms of advertisement. You saw 1 or 2 out there, right, Doug? Yeah. So, but yeah, so we, you know, this IAQ testing, they've made these, you know, these machines that you used to have to leave for 3 days and go back and pick up. Now they have one that you can use in 30 minutes. While you're there, you know, before you run your blower door, do this 30-minute air advice test. And be able to, you know, show the customer what's their house looks like. So lots of different ways to really get the most out of an appointment. So, we have the excavation equipment, so we're able to do some of these other things. The primary reason we have the excavation is, well, I guess two. One, we do a lot of it for our emergency plumbing work. Somebody has a drain line or water line that needs to be replaced, but then the bigger equipment that we have is for the geothermal systems. We do a lot of horizontal systems. We're doing carpentry, masonry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as you can see, a lot of these services grew from a need that we had. Geothermal, for example, we wanted to get in the geothermal business, and we were subcontracting to excavators, and so we bought our own excavation equipment to again provide that excellent customer service, because relying on subcontractors can sometimes leave that in a bad way. So we have this equipment. What do we do with it? Can we add some other services to keep those guys busy if geothermal wasn't to keep them busy, and offer more services to our customers? Same thing with carpenters. Needing a carpenter on hand for one aspect has allowed us to grow that business line, and everything has synergy with everything else. So as opposed to just adding another service that really doesn't incorporate well to the people that we have that already are partway there and just need a little bit to be cross-trained, be proficient at it.
So the geothermal, if you're taking an existing home that has fossil fuels and you're converting them to geothermal, and we're going to put a horizontal system in, we're digging up your yard and we're making a big mess, right? So we have the track loaders with rock hounds, so we can go in and very easily grade and rock hound the lawn, and we have hydro seeding, so we can go in and spray the hydro seed, and the people, a couple weeks later, they got green grass growing again. We make quick work of it, doing it all in-house. It's, we offer that as an option. Some customers want to do their own and rake it. We, say, here it is, and if you want us to leave it where you got grass growing, we offer that option as well. Most people take that option. Especially, yeah, go ahead.
I'm amazed by the growth of this company. I want to know what were some of the biggest growing pains? I know this is over 40 years, and if you were to do it differently, what would you do differently today, knowing what you know?
I think it's all about taking good care of the customer. Good customer service, and if you expect to have good customer service, you've got to have happy employees. You can't have unhappy employees and have happy customers long term. You can't. So I think it's just providing that customer with the best service you can provide them, and providing them options. You don't box any of them into a corner. You say, here's an option A, here's option B. One of the things we do is we say, we offer Band-Aid repairs, because sometimes that's all a customer can afford, right? But we can't guarantee maybe a Band-Aid repair, but we're willing to make it as long as the customer knows that they were given that option. Yep.
Or do your work is seasonal?
Some of it is, but again, with cross-training, we keep those people busy, for sure. Over the years, I've acquired quite a few rental properties, and if there's nothing else to do, if I have somebody that can't work because of the weather, I'll have them go work on an apartment house. We don't lay anybody off. We provide them work, for sure. You can't, again, it's hard to keep long-term employees if you're not going to keep them with full-time jobs. Anything else to say about that, Adam?
I mean, he's not wrong, and we do as much as humanly possible to keep our employees happy. Employee retention is tough in this industry because the grass is greener syndrome is 1,000%. We want to make it so that it's a great place to work where you want to come to work and you know you're going to work hard, but at the end of the week you're going to get a good paycheck. But we want to make it pleasant enough for them that when the next contractor says, hey, I'll give you $1.50 more per hour, they say, yeah, but you know, I know that this place is going to be here. I know that I'm going to get 52 weeks of work a year. You know, it's you're only as good as your employees. They're your biggest, you know, advocates and advertisements in the world. We sit in our offices, they're in people's homes every day, so we try and make sure that they are as big a fans of Helco as we are. So, yeah. Buy them lunch every once in a while.
Yeah, we do lots of things to, you know, one of the things that we did here just a few years ago that was a simplest thing, but you know, we always give our employees a $100 bill on their birthday. Well, then we said, you know, why don't we give them $100 for every year they've been with us? So Shad just had his 30th anniversary with us, you know, and he got a nice check for his birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of golf clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that really goes back to the question the gentleman had earlier about pitfalls and successes. Happy employees means happy customers, and probably the pitfalls would be as you grow and expand and you hire on people from other employers that maybe come with some skill sets, they don't have as much loyalty, so we've been able to build them up in-house, hiring people that were, you know, had great employability skills first, and then train them in-house, and then build a value proposition that keeps them in-house and wanting to come to work for us. So I think growing this team has been able to, and coming up with a process to do that has allowed us to deliver better customer service and keep the people we've trained. So
this next one is not always a popular conversation. You know, I have a lot of people, insulation contractors, we want to get in the heat pump business. And again, learning to install air source heat pumps is not that big a reach. It can be done, not easily, but it's not like terrible to learn, right, Jay? I mean, but this part that I'm talking about, you know, that once you install those, and that, you know, and it's 5 degrees out or 0 out, and that customer's calling you and saying, I have no heat, this isn't working, and you're an insulation contractor who never had an after-hours service department, now it's a problem, right? Who's going to go respond to that call? You can't ignore that customer. It's 0 degrees out and they got no heat. You got to have a service department. You got to have somebody to go there, and you can be the owner operator and be Superman for a short while. And I used to think I could do that forever, and I quickly learned that I couldn't, you know, stay married, have children, you know, miss all the ball games and everything because I run it night and day. Service call, it just doesn't last, right? So you gotta establish a service department if you're going to be in this business long term of putting, you know, heat pumps in, and that's a 7-day a week. It's a 24/7, 365 business. It's not a simple business. Yeah, Frank.
But you kind of wanted to ask about, what would you say is your greatest secret to making that transition from owner operator to leader of team? Because for a lot of people, they start as a man-to-man. They know their work is good.
Right.
As far as you want to trust what somebody else to do work, now they answer the phone, they're going to make Hal look good because they didn't carry Hal's name. What did you find makes that transition easier?
You know, that's a great question, and I think that it's how a person is built. I don't know. I was always able to build somebody and trust them, and my brother, who started, you know, he was in business with me, and he, after working with me 14 years, he went on his own, and he can't have one employee. He can't trust him. He's not built that way. He has to do everything himself, and he just not a guy that can have an employee and teach him and trust him. I don't know. I just always had a knack for that, I guess. I don't know how else to explain it.
And then challenging existing employees, you know, to do more, take on more, delegate more to those employees, let them grow into a management role, train them to be managers of people, and you end up, just as you grow and add more employees, and some employees advance to a, you know, a status that can manage a team of their own. That's how we've done it anyway.
Yeah, it took, there's not some place you go to learn how to do this, right? There's a lot of trial and error to it. This contractor nation that we are part of, that was part of that Dr. Energy Saver group, I give them a lot of kudos. They have 400 contractors across the country, and Shed just come back from their annual retreat last week. They really spend a lot of time on building teams and how you elevate teams, and they do a great job of it. So we've learned a lot from them over the years. Yeah, so at the bottom it says it all. It's kind of customer's life or for life, and you're able to mine your database when times are slow. I mean, you know, I got to tell you, it's amazing to me when, you know, we're going to come up with a slow week, somebody saying we don't have next week booked, and Shadow call up Kelsey, our marketing person, and say, send an email blast out, you know, and that email blast could be, we got a special on heat pump water heaters, or we got, you know, whatever. My God, she puts that email blast out, and the phone just starts, I mean, you can just see the phone light up. You know, when you got that large trusted customer base, you just give them a reason to call you, put that out there, and it works. It's amazing.
Send an email for basement waterproofing after it's just been raining for 4 days in the spring.
Yeah.
Phone will ring all weekend. It's fantastic.
Not to mention, we have, you know, service techs, 40 of them, in homes, you know, maybe 5 different homes a day. So they're able to, we tell them to put their eyes on other things within the home and see if they can talk to a customer about something that might be a threat of theirs. I can drum up some business as well, so the service department is huge for that.
We work very hard with our Google reviews. We put such an emphasis on them, bend over backwards to make customers happy. So we have just over 13,000 total reviews with a 4.9 average. You know, and we actually have a contest with a bunch of our competitors that don't even know we're having a contest with them. Every Friday we say, here's the icing guy. You guys are on fire lately. You beat us the last, I don't know what you're doing with your Google reviews. We used to spank you, but you've been beating us the last few weeks.
Been focusing on it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we have a contest every, you know, we go through and say, you know, here's how many new ones they got this week. Here's how many new ones we got, and we get all revved up about it. You know, but you know, our employees are all about, you know, bringing in more 5-star reviews, happy customers. It's kind of what we just talked about, you know, burnout, 100+ hour weeks. You've got to find a way to build a team.
So Hal, on that line, here's a question. For your business, okay, because I know you can't speak for anybody else, but when did you go from working for your company to working for your company? What was the transition that made that happen?
Yeah, I don't know, Shad, do you have
Well, I've been there for 30 years, so I've seen Hal hustling and working those 100-hour weeks and trying to pull it all together. I don't know if there was any one thing, but when Hal started to focus solely on customer service and beat that drum to everybody, it also got us involved with, prior to Contractor Nation, he's also reached out to other contractor groups that were in the countries, and in their markets they were providing superior customer service. So being able to be part of networks with other companies and learn and glean information from them and how they're successful, and trade, you know, secrets with them as well as yourselves, not freely, not competing with them. They're all in different markets. So Those things, I think, helped me to transition when he got into those
That's
to be
just
really.
when I asked this across the country, it's the same exact word for word you said. When we got to the point of transition to just our customers as our
Right.
base, everything changed.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the almighty dollars, about doing a great thing, and then the money just showed up.
Yeah, you can go to any one of our our employees around here and ask them what is their main focus at Helco, and that'll be the first thing out of their mouth is customer service.
And those Google reviews aren't easy. I tell you, you get some customer that you didn't even work for, and they send you a 1-star review, and there's nothing you're gonna do about it. You gotta get 100 5-star reviews just to come back to par. I mean, it's brutal. That's not, when you say you got and the difference between a company that has say a 4.5 and a 4.9, that's like 100 miles apart. I mean, it's a huge difference. It's a lot of work to I mean, we get somebody that sends us a 1-star review, everybody's hanging their head. What do we do to make this customer happy? We're doing somersaults. And most of them we're successful with, not all of them. You can't, some customers you're just never gonna make happy, no matter how hard you try, but we try.
But if you want to know one of the reasons for the success, it's because the owner of the company is very stressed about his 1-star review on Saturday afternoon. He's still grinding. Like, he's not in the field turning a wrench, but he's still grinding on customer service.
So we're talking here about acquiring new customers, targeting the right audience, continue to communicate with your older, customers as well as your new ones. And there's all kinds of services out there to do that, and it becomes all the new technology makes it, I guess, supposed to make it easier. Sometimes it makes it harder. The bottom thing, customer acquisition cost. It's going out and acquiring that brand new customer is very expensive. If you can take an existing customer and convert them to a new service, it's a lot less expensive.
Have you quantified that cost?
Yeah, I think it's hard to do it down to the penny, but we've certainly put numbers to it. I mean, to get a new customer, I mean, you could spend thousands of dollars to get a new customer. Thousands, for sure. And that existing customer to a new service might be an email blast. They made a phone call, cost you nothing. So there's a picture of our, since we switched to Helco Home Solutions. That's one of our vans.
That's a lot to read when you're driving.
It is, yeah.
I didn't want to leave it alone.
It's so hard to get that word
Stop
out.
it.
We decided that we were back and forth. The back of the van, we decided, you know what? When we're parked at a stoplight and somebody, and maybe it's our existing customer that uses us for plumbing, and they had no idea that we did excavation, right? So they might catch a glimpse of it. We know that it's, but we decided that it was better to put out there for that one time somebody might be at a stoplight versus nothing, right? So it is a lot, no question. I mean, everything we market's a lot. How do you market it?
Do you have a QR code there?
There is, yeah. See it down at the bottom left there? It's on the side of the van. Yeah, we use QR codes everywhere.
Speaking of marketing, I noticed there's no branding on your vans in terms of manufacturers. How do you utilize co-op money from manufacturers if you're not using it on trucks, or where are you using it, or are you using it at all?
Yeah, I mean,
What's your time with manufacturers in terms of their?
I've never believed in marketing for them. When we sell a heating system, we're selling a Helco system. We don't even tell the customer what brand it is. I've never been a person that's marketed the brand of the equipment. we get co-op dollars because it's a percentage of the volume we're selling to them, and they don't ever challenge us on that. I mean, they're gonna give us what we got coming. They don't demand that I have, you know, whatever brand. I just don't believe in that. It's not what's important to the customer.
Well, I understand, but how are you using the money then, the co-op money? You use it somehow, or you just forfeiting it?
Yeah, no, I mean, we're running all kinds of ads. I mean, again, as long as I keep bringing them the business, I never get challenged, right? I mean, if I'm getting co-op and then all of a sudden I'm not doing any more business with them, I'm sure they would shut me off, right? But as long as I'm continuing to do, and they're getting a return on their investment, I've never been challenged on it. Some of our yard signs. We have toppers for all those different things you saw in the back of the van. We got a different topper for it. So, you know, depending on what we did for the person, the yard sign's got a topper that, you know, that there's an insulation and air sealing topper. Talking about hitting our 5,000. We did 5,000 reviews and 5,000 yard signs in 2024. So it was a good year for us.
Got 4 minutes.
4 minutes? Know your numbers, lowball pricing, just can't compete against that. You gotta figure out how to bring value. And you know, that's the thing, it's, when you gotta bring value to a customer, there's no better place to do it than the kitchen table. And that's where, you know, these leads that we get, we're so appreciative of them because it's a seat at the kitchen table. And, you know, you want to market to get that seat at the kitchen table, it's a lot of money. Yep.
How do you feel belonging to franchises has helped expand your business and help you grow?
About franchising it?
Mm-hmm. About you joining franchises with different parts of your business?
Yeah, I guess I've never been presented with an opportunity that made sense for a franchise.
I don't mean franchising your own, I mean the franchises you bought into for your company.
She means like all things basement, basement systems.
Yeah,
that
so
kind of
none of those are franchises.
No?
No.
All right.
Yeah, they're all like the Dr. Energy Saver, for example. It's a dealer group. It's a dealership, but it's not a franchise at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Prefab department, that's one thing we do. It's how we cover our overnight service. We have 2 different groups of prefab guys, and they come in at 9 o'clock at night, and they work till 7 o'clock the next morning, and they're pre-building stuff in our shop that is going to go out the door. And so, you know, if we have an emergency call overnight, it's those guys that are running it, so I don't have on call at all, because we have technicians working regular hours. And again, the prefab guys, you know, if they're building a boiler board, they can do it very easily overnight as they can during the day, so it works out well for us. So we have one group of guys that's working Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every other Wednesday. The other group comes in every other Wednesday, and then every Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's one of those 2 shifts.
And that helps with our value proposition as well, because if you're an HVAC contractor, you've struggled with burning out technicians doing on-call and losing good people. That allows us to avoid that, because we can have them have steady hours and have the prefab guys do that night shift stuff.
So we prefab a lot of basement doors that we use for air sealing. We pre-build hatches for walk upstairs. There's some filter boots. There's some of our boiler boards that we build. You know, it's pretty cool to build a complete boiler system on a laminated board right in your shop and carry it out and just hang it on the wall and connect the pipes. Attic hatches. We build all those bases, prefab all those, get them all ready there. So it just makes the work on the site a lot faster.
You make your own bases?
Yeah. All right. Any questions. Yeah.
Have you reached a point where you can move the how operating system that's coming like they're running not there?
Yeah, I think, I've got an amazing team. And I'm very fortunate to have an amazing team. Chad, who's been with us 30 years, is just amazing. Brittany, who sits here, Brittany, she come to me one day and she said, Hal, my husband, we got a job transfer, a promotion, and we got to go to Kentucky. I said, oh my God. So Brittany works remote from Kentucky, does an amazing job for us. She knows more about our business while she works in Kentucky all day, every day. Plus, she gets to go on the bourbon trail for me and bring me presents.
Good perks.
Yeah. So yeah, I have an amazing team that things, I try to stay in front of everybody. I'm on a Zoom meeting every morning, 5 days a week at 7 o'clock in the morning, and so I'm seeing all of our employees once a week. But I don't need to be there for the business to run. I try to be the face, and I try to interact and make sure customers are happy, but I don't have to be there for the business to run. Would that be a fair statement?
100%.
Yeah.
No, but we're fortunate you're still engaged in this. So.
He takes a vacation like once every 2 years, so though
Yeah.
keeps moving.
Part of the value proposition has been Hal's been such a great leader over the years and has had that vision and drive to take on new things, and it feels good to come to a place to work knowing that you guys are pioneers and risk takers and delving into the next thing, so to speak, rather than dying on the vine with the old thing. That comes with its own pains as well, but I'd rather be on this side and working for this team doing that sort of thing any day of the week.
All right, well, thank you.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.